Okay, we're rolling.
Bob, you were a president of the Australian Workers' Union in Melbourne in 1995.
Indeed, I was.
And your offices were in Spencer Street?
They were.
Wilson was the secretary of the branch until a change of office holders in 1995. He got the flick in August of 95, left the union. He had his own headquarters up in Carlton.
Correct.
And those officers, what happened to them?
They were effectively locked down, padlocked, everything was removed. A lot of shredding went on, I'm told, but I didn't witness it myself. But yeah, it was just a waste of space in the finish.
Now, in August of 1995, he goes. His office is shut down. Your office is in Spencer Street.
Correct.
One particular morning, 3 blokes turned up in workers' clothes. What happened?
I was heading out of the office to go to a meeting, and I noticed 3 people in the foyer, the reception area, making the demands of the young girl behind the counter, wanting to see a bloke called, in their view, a bloke called Bruce Wilson. And that name sort of struck a chord with me. Bruce and I had a lot in common back then. Thank God it was only my recollections of his dubious deeds as a union official as the only association him and I ever had anything in common about. I'm rambling on, Michael, so let's cut that. Ask the question again.
Right.
Ask the question.
You just frame your thoughts up, mate.
Okay, we'll talk about the reception bit.
Yeah, that was great what you said about the reception. Do you want a tissue or something?
Yeah. Just a little bit anxious.
Or another bottle of...
She's right. Let's go.
I think people will understand you being anxious, Bob. I would.
I think it'll go for it.
I'll leave it here for you.
Okay, great.
I've left it rolling, boys.
Mate, this is you and me, right? And you and I, we talk about this at home.
We've had lots of discussions over the last 12 months, Michael.
And over a coffee or over a beer, and that's what this is. Exactly that. Just us getting it down between you and me. And it's not like some performance where you've got to convince people. In these circumstances, less is a lot more, you know. So I'm going to do the clapperboard for Bob now. You can cut it here, mate. Bob Kernohan, you were a president of the Australian Workers' Union in Melbourne in 1995.
Correct.
And Bruce Wilson gets the flick, 95.
Yes.
Would have been big news, you all knew about it. He had his own offices, physical location, up in Carlton in Melbourne, didn't he?
Correct.
Now your headquarters, when he got the ask, your headquarters is in Spencer Street.
Correct.
One morning, a few days after Wilson's gone, there's a bit of a kerfuffle in your reception. What happened?
I was heading out to go to a meeting. I'm passing through the foyer. I noticed 3 people dressed in bib and brace overalls, like painters, construction workers, and they were asking for a person by the name of Bruce Wilson. Now Wilson had left, got his package and had left on the quiet, had left the union.
And his office up in Carlton was locked up.
That's right, it was locked down. These people, obviously, these workers turned up at the Drummond Street Carlton premises, the AWU premises there. Obviously couldn't get in, it was all locked up. Then they were obviously became aware that there was another office, the Australian Workers' Union, in Melbourne, in Spencer Street, and that's why they turned up. And they turned up looking for payment of an account that was outstanding for work that was authorised by Bruce Wilson, as he was then the secretary of the AWU, a few months prior to these people turning up looking for their dough. And they were getting quite upset because the young girl was trying to explain that Bruce Wilson was no longer with the Australian Workers' Union.
The young girl, she's your receptionist.
Receptionist. And of course these fellows were quite concerned because they performed work authorised by the secretary, Wilson at the time, and the account was still outstanding, hadn't been paid. I left...
Just hang on, before you go on. They were after payment for work that had been commissioned or authorised by Bruce, and what was that work?
In the name of the Australian Workers' Union, I might add. It wasn't Bruce Wilson as a private citizen. It
Right.
was in his capacity as secretary of the union.
Yeah. But what was the work? What did they do?
House renovations.
For who? For what premises?
Well, it wasn't the Kerr Street property that has gained a lot of notoriety recently.
Yeah.
That Wilson purchased with stolen money, union money. This premises was, I was told by Terry Muscat and other senior officials in the union that the premises where the work was carried out was indeed Julia Gillard's premises. Julia Gillard at that time was the boyfriend of girlfriend of Bruce Wilson, and they were seeking their account to be satisfied by the union for the work that they performed on that house.
Now, that's a very significant observation or allegation to make, that builders turned up at the offices of the AWU looking for payment for work that they had done on a private house at Abbotsford, Julia Gillard's house. That at the time when that was explained to you, I mean, you're physically there, you saw it happen. What did you think? What was going through your mind?
Well, at that stage, not much that happened in the Australian Workers' Union at that time would shock me after we discovered the false bank accounts that Wilson had set up, and the amount of money that was laundered through those accounts. So this was just really incidental to the main corruption that Wilson was involved in. So I just treated it as that.
You knew it was his girlfriend though?
Yes, absolutely.
So his girlfriend's got a house in Abbotsford at this stage. Like, she's not the Prime Minister, she's neighbour. She happened to be a lawyer who represented the AWU.
Yep.
And the builders turn up. How were they eventually satisfied? What happened? Did they get money?
I believe they were paid, yes.
By who?
By the branch secretary at the time. And
Who was that?
Bob Smith.
Now, builders have turned up. They're in your foyer making a lot of noise. You want to settle them down, I suppose. So the three people who knew was you, Bob Kernohan, a bloke called Terry Muscat, and the branch secretary then, Bob Smith.
And also Bill Shorten.
What was Bill Shorten's role?
Bill was an employee of the union at that stage. He was a union membership recruiter. Bill was my protege back in those days. I had a lot of time for Bill. So much so that I ensured that, to complement his law degree, that he was able to complete his articles at Morris Blackburn and Co. For 12 months. He did his articles and then moved to the union full time, always with the ambition of going into federal politics.
Righto, we'll come to that in a moment. Let's just confine this discussion now, mate, to those builders turning up and wanting payment. And how are you going? You okay?
Yeah.
I can imagine it's... you're all right. I get that way myself when I get these memories.
Cut out, I
Yeah, no, you'll be right, Bob. Just keep it all in. Because you got nothing to hide, right? You're telling me the truth.
Yeah.
Everything you tell me the truth.
Absolutely. Any court, I'll stand up and swear on the stack of
Okay.
lies.
How do you know these blokes got paid by Bob Smith?
Because they threatened to remain on the premises until they were paid.
So you're telling me they were paid by an AWU official,
Yes.
for work done on Wilson's girlfriend's house. They were paid with AWU money or some slush fund money that somebody had access to.
Yeah, well, the only access to money that Bob Smith had back in those days was authorised AWU accounts. He had access to money.
Righto.
And that's where these...
let's just get this clear on the record though, Bob. You were present, you saw those men in the office.
I did.
You were a president of the AWU.
I was.
You're telling me they wanted payment for money done to Julia, for building works done to Julia Gillard's house, and they were paid.
Correct.
Now, it may be the case, and Ms Gillard says, that she paid for everything. I believe, because Terry Muscat told Phil Good, the Industrial Relations Minister in Victoria, she paid money back to satisfy the union. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know firsthand about that, but I do know that discussions that I was privy to, not directly involved in, but was present in the room at the time, where transactions to cover this up, and the payment back to the Australian Workers Union by Ms Gillard was talked about, yes.
Let's take a break, mate. We'll come back to it.